Welcome to Matt's Movie Reviews. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, please click the link below and don't forget to hit the bell notification button to keep up to date with all my videos. Thank you. Dune was released in December in 1984 and was produced on a budget of $40 million, but bombed on release, only taking around $31 million in the United States, although it was better received in Europe and in the UK. Directed by David Lynch, who was offered the role after his work on The Elephant Man, and is best known for films like Eraserhead and Wild at Heart. Lynch wrote the screenplay himself, and it's based on the book by American author Frank Herbert. The novel Dune was originally released in 1965, and it won a Hugo Award in 1966, and is the best-selling science fiction novel of all time. There have been several attempts to bring Dune to the big screen, as early as 1971. In 1976, Alejandro Jodorowsky went through huge pre-production but failed to find the funding. There's been a documentary made about this called Jodorowsky's Dune, with many of the crew moving to produce Ridley Scott's Alien, which links to Blade Runner, as Scott attempted himself to bring Dune to the big screen but left the project due to the death of his brother Frank. And there seems to be a strong link with these films, but we'll return to that later. As the rights were owned by Italian producer Dino de Laurentiis, he hired Lynch after seeing The Elephant Man, and Lynch worked for 3.5 years on the project, and Dino's daughter Raffaella served as producer. Dino is best known for films such as the 1976 remake of King Kong, as well as the 1980s Flash Gordon, which this film has a few similarities. Both were made with international casts, including Max von Sydow. Both were scored by a rock group, and both bombed in America on release. Both fared better in the UK and Europe, and of course both have acquired cult status. One of the film's strengths is its glorious production design by Anthony Masters of 2001: A Space Odyssey, and the beautiful cinematography by Freddie Francis, and not forgetting the iconic costume design by Bob Ringwood, who would later design the Batsuit in Tim Burton's Batman. The cast of characters is extensive, and I could make an entire video on this and their characters, but I'll focus on the main players. Carl MacLachlan plays Paul Atreides in his first cinematic role. Carl was, of course, in his early 20s, but in the book Paul's character is around about 15. He has gone to work with Lynch on Blue Velvet, as well as the surreal TV series Twin Peaks, which he returned to recently. Sir Patrick Stewart plays Gurney, Paul's mentor, and this of course was before his career took off with Star Trek The Next Generation, and I can't imagine anybody else delivering his lines, and unfortunately he isn't in the film enough. Sean Young plays Chani, Paul's love interest, and of course this was after she played Rachel in Blade Runner. Virginia Madison, who plays the Princess Erlon, who provides a prologue. Her role is vastly reduced compared to the book, and despite being filmed in Mexico City, the film has a strong British cast, including Lynch's favourite, Freddie Jones, who starred in The Elephant Man and Wild at Heart, and has starred in some of the most iconic 80s films. Other cast members are Everett McGill, Jose Ferreira, Linda Hunt, Richard Jordan, Sian Phillips, Paul Smith, Brad Dourif, Dean Stockwell, and Francesca Annis, and of course Kenneth McMillan, who plays the Baron, and not forgetting police frontman Sting. The film's financiers and Universal Studios only wanted a 2-hour movie, and Lynch was forced to cut down his original 3-hour edit. This is so the movie could have more showings and ultimately sell more tickets. Lynch and Raffaella worked hard cutting and intersecting voiceover with some new shots to help tell the film's narrative. Ultimately, this is where the film falters, as it became very confusing for the casual viewer. As myself as a 12-year-old, I came away wondering what the hell I'd just watched, with only the force field fight, the wielding weapons and the glorious sandworms staying with me. These were designed by Carlo Rambaldi, who had worked on Close Encounters of the Third Kind, designing the alien puppet, as well as the practically unused life-size Kong in the 1976 remake, and not forgetting his greatest work of E.T. The band Toto provided a stunning score, and this was backed up by Brian Eno's Prophecy theme, and these have become synonymous with the piece. The movie went through a very modern advertising campaign, and was dubbed Star Wars for adults, and even had a toy line produced. And at the time I wondered when I was a kid why anybody would want to buy toys from that film. It wasn't until around about 2006 that I became aware of the film again and discovered the extended cuts. Although Lynch refuses to put his name to these, I found them fascinating and it inspired me to read the book. This showed me that Lynch's film had a very basic story framework from the book, and his task was almost impossible to put to film. Like the Lord of the Rings trilogy, the book has its own language, and it's only after reading it did I understand the film better. Lynch was ahead of his time, and the film really needed to be in two parts to explain the world and the characters, and they all ultimately lose out due to the rushed edit. Especially the Baron and the Harkonnen characters. I think they are definitely given the Lynch treatment, very surreal and dare I say sadistic and kind of homoerotic, and mixed with the chaotic edit and a few ropey effect shots, this has given the film its bad reputation. In the early 2000s, a TV series was produced for the Sci-Fi channel, and though it was truer to the Herbert's book and had over 4.5 hours to tell the story, the look and the lackluster costume designs are really poor compared to this film, and I think it was produced for around about $20 million, half the budget of the original movie, and it definitely hasn't aged very well. Now earlier I mentioned the link between this and Blade Runner, because Ridley Scott was involved initially and of course Sean Young appeared in both movies. We now have Denis Villeneuve working on a reboot. Denis of course worked on the Blade Runner sequel, Blade Runner 2049, which was of course his sequel to Scott's classic, so it seems as if everything has come full circle. And it's time for Dune to get the treatment it deserves, as Denis is a fantastic visionary, and it would be a great opportunity if David Lynch would come back and finally deliver his edit of the movie. It'd be nice if he put the past behind him, as it would be a great opportunity to link this with the release of the new film. As I said earlier, this film is far from perfect, but it has some great qualities, and I would recommend watching it on Blu-ray as the transfer is beautiful to watch. And if you can give the film's problems, you can enjoy a flawed classic. Thanks again for watching, and please subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to follow me on Facebook and Twitter. And please share this video, and please give us a thumbs up or leave me some comments. And once again, thanks for watching Matt's Movie Reviews, and I'll speak to you guys soon. Thank you.
Father, the sleeper has awakened!